We're looking very, like, old today.
Yeah, no.
Top of the morning to you.
I am Papal over here.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of This Is My Bourbon podcast, where we talk about what makes bourbon the spirit of Kentucky. My name's Perry. Thank you all so much for being here this week. Curtis and Tanner are already messing with each other. Well, really, it's just Curtis messing with Tanner, but, you know.
Yeah, I didn't do anything.
You had nothing to do with it. You're just the victim here. Guys, this is the first time we've had the home base co-hosts together in the same room since last year.
Yeah.
Dad jokes about, years and everything. But anyway, Tanner, I don't think I've seen you since.
Speaking of dad,
wait.
like
No,
dads, we look
No,
like
I've seen
dads.
you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we do. We
Yeah.
looked full dad when we walked in.
I'm wearing a cardigan.
And I'm wearing a
for
newsboy. So.
Yeah, so there's that. We're very Papal-ish tonight.
It's full on dads drinking bourbon, which is another podcast.
Is it really?
But
Is it really? I thought that was a goof.
No. There's a real episode called a real podcast called Dad's Drinking Bourbon. That's actually
I'm
pretty
kind
good.
of disappointed because I wish we could have like spun off and like had an episode of this is Dad's Drinking Bourbon.
Maybe someday. Hey,
Not
dog.
now.
Already? Really?
Just my hand. It's just my hand.
The dog's in heat, so things are gonna get wild here.
Buck
tonight.
wild.
Dear Lord, we should cut that.
No, uncut, unfiltered. No, we'll probably cut it out. Anyway, so this is actually the first time I've seen you. I was gonna say this is the first time I've seen you since the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
How were your holidays?
Oh, it was great.
Good, good. I know how big of a
time.
fan you are of.
Oh, Christmas. Watched the Christmas Story. We actually went to the Christmas Story live, which is
really?
cool.
Went
the one
to
in
it.
Ohio?
Yeah, the one in Ohio, not the like live one.
I was like, really?
Yeah,
I was like, how did I not hear about that already?
but it was cool.
Good. Happy to hear it. So, as we always do, we drink on the show, of course. Tanner,
Yes.
I wanted to tie up a loose end from your last episode where we drank Jim Beam.
Yes.
I recently found a handle of Jim Beam Choice,
Oh.
which is not made any longer. It's 5 years instead of the normal 4 years, but it is still 80 proof. Like I said, I kind of stumbled upon it the other day. It was in their 50 under 25 that Chad and Sarah did.
Okay.
It was Chad's number one pick,
Okay.
which is really interesting because he loves higher proof bourbon. I'm a pretty big fan of it from the little bit that I've had so far. I think the nose overall is way better than
Yeah, absolutely.
regular Jim Beam. And if you haven't listened to that episode yet, go back about a couple, and you'll be able to hear mine and Tanner's full review of Jim Beam White Label,
Buck Wild
where we
review.
basically just tear it to pieces.
Well, and we goofed for about 15 minutes.
Oh, that was a great time.
Yeah.
Sesame Street.
Yeah, I listened to it. I was like, wow, they got way off.
Yeah, we just led down a whole. See, I was hoping that you wouldn't listen to it, kind of,
So we could come
keep
back to
goofing
it.
on it. And you would just have no idea.
No clue.
Like,
Yeah.
why are you saying Sesame Street so weird?
I just
Who's Big Bort?
Beg Barb.
Big Bort.
Anyway, that needs to
Die now, I know.
please. Anyway, we both really kind of tore that one up, and I mean, we gave it its, the accolades that it deserves. Wow, deserves, because it is, the best selling bourbon of all time.
Yeah.
That being said, I do like Jim Beam Choice quite a bit more. The nose is so much more nuttier than regular Jim Beam. Like the other one's just, what did we say? Like just chemicals?
Yeah, it was like
Straight
very
ethanol.
clean tasting.
Yeah.
Tastes like it would clean something very well. It's good.
I mean, this is a lot more complex, I think, than.
Oh yeah.
And I mean,
But it's still got that essence of Jim.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it still has all the characteristics that make Jim Beam, but I think that kind of like where Jim Beam Distillers Cut does this, it takes what doesn't work and it just kind of flips them on its head or on their head and makes it into a much more well-rounded bourbon. I'm pretty pleased that I have a handle of this now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
nice.
it's a good get.
Yeah. And I think I only paid like $30 for it.
It's not bad at all.
Which is not even a little bit. And there's another one left. I'm considering going back and getting it here in a couple of weeks or not. But
Yeah, I haven't had Jim Beam White Label in a while, but like this one definitely has more complex profile as far as anything else goes.
it's so weird to me that like, I mean, really the only thing that's different about it is it's just a year older.
Yeah, but
You
I
know?
guess that's merit to like what a year can do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to. I've been kind of tossing this idea around a little bit about introducing another new segment
Okay.
Oh, okay.
The wheel of new segments.
to the show. Yeah, exactly.
We literally have a wheel and he's gonna spin it.
Oh, no.
Oh
Lose
no!
a turn.
Pantsless drinking.
Darn.
Bankrupt.
Oh man!
Jeez.
A trip to Hawaii.
I wanted to introduce a segment called
Half a car. Gotta get the other half.
That's
Doesn't
the
matter.
worst part of Wheel of Fortune,
Oh, it's
by the
such a
way, is
stupid
getting
gift.
half.
Yeah.
I hate that. You get
like-
half the car, and I mean, the chances. Anyway,
Which half?
I don't. I have thought about this
Yeah,
way more than
because I'd want the front first.
I would want the front half for sure. Engines at least.
I
worth
can
all the
balance
money.
better with
Yeah.
the front half than I
Yeah.
can the
Put
back
something
half.
on the back, but like
But I wanted to introduce a segment called "What We've Been Drinking." So talk about what Curtis makes a face because what he's been drinking recently led to some fun times.
Uh-oh.
yeah, it
I haven't
was-
heard these.
ooh.
So
Here's rough.
have you guys been drinking anything interesting, or what have you been drinking, just kind of in general recently?
I think I'll save mine for last.
Okay, I'll go. So let's see. What have I been drinking? This is not just pertaining to bourbon, correct?
Sure, why not?
Because I don't know. Like I've been drinking a lot of beer lately, just on the weekends.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Um,
I've been going through a little bit of a beer kick too.
Now I did do so on like 4 or 5 nights ago. I did a hot toddy because my throat was feeling a little verklempt.
Perfect.
And it was fantastic. And then I did just the standard. I think it was actually the 1792 NL8. It was really tasty. And
Nice.
then, which I know some people are like that's sacrilege, but I don't care. And
But
then
Drink how you want to drink.
Saturday I had. Let's see, what beers did I have? I had a bunch of different types of beers. I had.
The world of beer, some would say.
Yeah. 2 Fat Tire.
Free advertisement for
Yeah,
world
there you
of
go,
beer.
World of Beer. Don't have to pay for that one. The next one's not free.
Yeah.
So 2 Fat Tire, a West 6, which is a local brewery, their Lemongrass IPA. I had 3 Rheingeist Bubbles, which is a brewery based in Ohio.
Interesting.
I had 2 Rheingeist Truth. Have you all had this?
No.
It's their
Truth?
IPA.
Oh,
Yeah.
Rheingeist Truth is
Baller.
really good.
7.2 ABV.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's
See, I'm
really
And it's
good.
so good, so hoppy.
So
It's
good.
See,
yeah,
that's the
tastes
thing.
great.
I'm not really an IPA guy.
good.
So I mean,
It's my favorite kind of beer.
oh really?
Yeah,
I mean,
like
and so many people swear by it, but I like wheat ales. I like
It takes
you know,
getting used to, I think.
brown ales more. I just like ales.
yeah.
But anyway, cool. Yeah, I want to do eventually bourbon barrel aged beer episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just to kind of break things up a little bit. And I figured, we could do maybe multiple ones since there are so many now, and
Yeah.
just start. I don't want to spoil too much, but just start with Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale.
Yeah.
And
And there's some like really craft Kentucky bourbon
Yeah.
ale. Like
Yeah, I had a really good one. It was one of those where it was a limited release. It's called Backwoods Bastard by Founders. That was unbelievable. I was almost too drunk when I drank it to drink it. Like
Yeah.
I shouldn't have had it when I did because I didn't enjoy it as much as I could have when I was a little bit more sober, but it was still good.
yeah.
So anyway, but Kurt, what you been drinking?
Well, I drank a lot on Friday.
Regale us with your stories.
I drank a lot on Friday. So last Friday, I decided that, I wanted to drink a lot of bourbon. And I wasn't alone, so that was good. So my brother and his friend was drinking with us. But so I started the night with Jim Beam Black. Had two glasses, which is great. We've kind of discussed it too, on the podcast before.
Again, I prefer Jim Beam Black to Jim Beam White.
Yeah, I think we mentioned it on our
for sure.
episode too.
Yeah, Jim Beam Black is, in my opinion, 100 times better than the white label. So I had 2 glasses of that, and then killed the bottle. Which, mind you, all these, they were at the bottom, so it wasn't that bad. So we killed the bottle, and then I had a glass of Woodford.
Yeah.
Killed the bottle.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, and then I had a glass of Calumet.
Which expression of it was it? Do you know? Was it just the regular one, or was it like the 10-year?
I think it was just the regular one.
Okay.
Yeah. And
that was good.
It was really, which speaking on Calumet, I enjoyed it, but it had like a watered down taste. It didn't have much going for it, and as far as the profile, I enjoyed drinking it. And it was sweet and kind of caramely.
Most people say that it is a little bit watered down, and it's just not really up to snuff. But.
Yeah, I mean, it tastes good, but it's not wowing you with anything.
Yeah.
Killed the bottle.
Jesus.
And then I had
What time was it?
What
by the time you killed the 3rd bottle?
The 3rd bottle? Honestly, I think it was 9:30.
Okay.
Oh, right.
I didn't tell my story either. Sorry, not to totally. I forgot that was this weekend. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So you were just as bad as me.
Yeah, for sure.
Everyone's playing like Holy Saint over here.
No. I was just reacting.
Oh no, I'm not playing that by any means.
Yeah. So then after I did that, I bought Henry McKenna and had 2 glasses of that.
You didn't kill that bottle too, did you?
No.
Okay, because you just bought that bottle last week.
That would be incredible.
I had just bought it, and so. Also, if you haven't listened to the one podcast about the Henry McKenna that we tried.
That we loved.
That's why I bought this bottle of Henry McKenna. So I had 2 glasses of that. Went to bed around 10:30, and got in bed. And I was like, oh, I'm fine. This is great. Like feeling jolly. I'm just going to go to bed now. And 5 seconds later, porcelain throne. Wouldn't recommend.
Okay. That's pretty insane.
It was a good night of drinking.
Good.
Bad morning.
You need a good night of drinking every once in a while.
Saturday night, the night I drank all the beer.
Yes, tell me, newsboy.
This was, well, let me tell you. In the Morning Gazette, I was still awake.
Extra.
So, streamed playing some Mario Kart with a buddy of mine.
Okay.
Nice.
And then she was like, have you seen this Katy Perry Swish Swish video?
Oh, geez.
I was like, I've not. And she was like, okay, let's watch it. And then we started down, we had been drinking while I played Mario Kart, because we played Mario Kart sober, let's be honest.
Not a soul.
And then, so, after we streamed...
Unless you're under 21,
yeah. If you're 15,
I said that and I was like, maybe I should take that back.
There's probably
adults.
a few.
But, so, we started watching the music videos. At around 2 in the morning, like, that's around time we ended stream, we're like, okay, going to bed, bye. Have y'all ever watched 66 music videos in a night? Because I have.
You're saying, have we ever watched the total number of 66 music videos?
Yes.
66 individual music videos in one night?
Yes.
No.
Yeah. We were up until...
I can say I have not.
We were up until 11 in the day.
Oh, that's why you said, okay.
When
okay.
she left, it was so late that she couldn't get breakfast because they had stopped serving breakfast. Which is maybe the funniest thing I've ever heard. So... that was how late we stayed up. So, yeah, I also was drunk. Wait, what night was this?
It was Friday night.
Oh, dang it, okay.
Yeah, yours was
Saturday night.
Yeah, mine was Friday night.
We were both drunk at like 8:30 in the morning. It's just bizarre. I'd never done that before. I never had a beer at 9 o'clock in the morning.
That's amazing.
Kind of wild.
But the reason that I knew, like, the time that you... and I mean, this is probably more information than anybody needs, but Lucy was gone, so I had the house to myself. So I was like, anybody want to come over for an impromptu bourbon night? And Tanner's like, I've been up since 10:30 in the morning drinking bourbon or drinking beer.
Yeah.
And that's just not going to happen. And I was like, You do you, bud.
You, man.
We'll see ya.
Yeah.
I can't counter that. Like, there's no way that I can say, get back on the horse.
Right, yeah.
Back in the saddle again.
That's a solid, what, like 12 hours of drinking?
Oh, yeah,
much?
we started at like 9 o'clock.
At least 12 hours of drinking.
Yeah, drank until 10:30, 11.
That's
So I wasn't even really that drunk. It was just a steady...
It was just a long period of
Yeah.
time. It's a lot of beer, too.
It's a lot of beer.
I mean, what, did you make it through like a 36 pack on your own?
No,
or?
I mean, it was...
Okay.
It was like higher proof stuff, like the truth. So it wasn't really
okay.
like
Gotcha.
just
you
pounding
can't
back
pound.
beers. Yeah.
You cannot pound that.
No.
I've tried that before. You cannot pound IPA,
No, not a chance.
especially Rheingeist.
Well, okay, that's that went a little bit more interesting than I was expecting for it too. But so what I've been drinking pretty regularly. I've got a couple bottles of Blanton's laying around. So I've been kind of working my way through one. I bought a bottle of Buffalo Trace the other day. Been enjoying the crap out of that. I had some, like the Jim Beam Choice. On that same day that I found that, I had a couple pretty good finds as well, which included an old 375 of Old Forester and one of very old Barton 6-year as well, which was just kind of, I just kind of stumbled into that. I was out bourbon hunting and I went down the street. There's a place in Richmond called East Main Liquor, which I'd never heard of before, and I stumbled upon it, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be one of those stores where they have stuff that you've never seen, because
Nobody knows.
you can never find it."
Yeah.
And I walk in, and there's just this wave of cigarette smoke.
That's
So
how you know it's good.
it's much like Pally's,
Right.
Pally's.
where they allow you to smoke inside. And I mean, it's just brutal. And like the dust that's settled on bottles is not dust. It's leftover like smoke from cigarette clouds. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not real dust. And like you're just kind of scared by the whole process.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had a pretty good couple of finds recently. So that's what I've been drinking. So as you can probably tell by the description of the episode.
The way you came back into that. It's like you had literally been pulled back from the time you came.
It's like, and back from the future.
Hey. Anyway, as you could probably
You've been
tell,
squished into like a little fourth dimension. Like,
as you can probably tell by the description of the episode, we are talking about all things 1792.
which
The year.
Yeah.
It's a historical episode.
Yeah,
Strap in, everyone.
Welcome, drunk history.
All about 1792 bourbon and the Barton Distillery and all that good stuff. So we are going to get to a review of the 1792 full proof in a little bit. But until then, we're going to drink just small batch 1792, which Tanner has so graciously provided for this episode. So, gentlemen, clean your glasses.
Don't tell me what.
Yeah.
Yep. Clean your glasses.
I wish I wore glasses so I could just take them off for the visual gag that works so well on podcast.
Again, eventually we are going to start videotaping is what I almost said. With an old camcorder.
Filming, maybe?
Sure.
Maybe a
we're
better
gonna
word?
we're gonna start filming this eventually for Patreon subscribers, which
There's
we
a-
have none of yet. So subscribe to our Patreon.
There's a guy I watch on YouTube sometimes who says Patreon, and it drives me up a wall. So I'm glad you don't say Patreon.
I do not, because you know why? It's pronounced Patreon. Anyway, so who wants to pour the 1792?
Go ahead.
Nope.
I have no. You usually pour stuff. You're our MC of. You're master pour. You're our MP.
Master pour.
Yeah.
You're master pour.
Master of pouring.
MP on the mic.
Wait, hold on.
That bottle does
Okay,
it
there
really well.
Yeah.
They have the best cork.
All 1792 bottles I
Yeah.
find have.
Which, with that Henry McKenna, it has a screw top.
The one you got?
Yeah.
When was it bottled?
It was, I want to say, like 7/10/07.
Oh, that's when it was distilled. Okay, so it was
Yeah,
bottled
yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
But I feel like we've seen multiple times recently that Henry McKenna has an actual cork.
Yeah, no.
So it's so
the
weird.
one that
We had at your house.
we had at my house had a cork, and then I got this one,
Thank you, Tim.
and it was a screw top.
That's so bizarre.
Yeah, I wonder what happened there.
I mean, I haven't. I mean, so when I've been buying Henry McKenna bottles recently, it's been because they're a little bit older. Like I found one recently that was from 2016.
Which this one was older than the one we had at my house the first time.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I just was. You should have a cork.
Yeah, I agree. Especially with a bourbon like that. I mean, at $30 and 10 years old, I feel like it really should have a cork in it. And I mean, it seems like they're kind of moving that way, but I keep hearing conflicting reports about whether or not they're actually
doing cork or a screw top. I mean, and I have no information on if like one is better than the other. Just from a standpoint of looking at it, for me, I'm like, I want the cork and the sound, and then like, you know, what you think of.
Yeah, I mean, the cork is so much more satifying too than the screw top.
Oh yeah.
I mean, by and large, it is a much more satisfying experience.
And switching from this Jim Beam choice to 1792,
big change,
huge change,
big change. Yeah. I still do smell a lot of the nuttiness on it.
Yeah.
But I you can also smell the spiciness from the higher rye mash bill
and the florals and the
and we're gonna be talking. I'm actually gonna do a little report on 1792. And
Perry brought his book report in.
While you're pulling that up, I want us to at some point make a soundboard of just
just us making like
you can smell
guttural
the
noises,
nuttiness, florals, vanilla. Honeysuckle
and just like
spices,
and throughout the episode, like just we just like hit the button.
You can smell the honeysuckle.
Yeah. Wait, we're not robots. It'll just be the same delivery every time.
Yeah,
honeysuckle, honeysuckle, honeysuckle.
Yeah, straight through.
Suddenly, Beetlejuice walks through the door.
Break it down, man. Anyway.
Sample that.
I'm very tired.
I'm also pretty tired.
This is the first day I've been back at work since school was out.
Oh,
yeah, because we had
He's a big working boy now. Sorry, we had to give you a little bit.
I had 2 days. I had 2 snow days this week, which is ridiculous.
Whoa, somebody had a snow day.
Yeah. Tanner, did you have a snow day?
You know, I didn't go into work one day, but I did work from home all day. So
yeah, I had no snow day. I had to go.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
My car is crap. So
yeah. I mean, my car's not the greatest either.
So 1792. I love the flavor of this bourbon.
Me too.
It really is just fantastic all
so
around.
Good.
Yeah,
so smooth.
It's so
like a hint of graham cracker.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, totally.
I get graham cracker. And
it's so full of caramel.
Caramel, yeah.
Oh, we got a debate on who pronounces caramel.
I don't care.
Weird.
Just
say what you want.
Yeah, exactly. That's like never mind. It doesn't matter. I mean, I've not had any of the age stated 1792. It used to be an 8-year bourbon, and now it's it's not age stated, but everybody kind of assumes that it's anywhere from 6 to 8 years, which again we'll get to a little bit later in the actual report. But I mean, overall, this is just a very successful bourbon, I would say. I mean, it does everything that it tries to do. I feel very well. And
all the listeners know how much like we're endeared to it.
Yeah, we love it.
It's no secret that 1792 is one of the favorite bourbons on the show. Mm-hmm. So anyway, guys, would you like to learn some things about 1792?
Whatever.
Perry, would you go up in front of the class and?
Do you have 1792 facts about 1792?
Oh my gosh, no, I have
17.92.
No, I maybe have a dozen.
All right, cool. A baker's dozen.
Yeah, that's good.
So 1792, Barton Distillery was founded in 1879. It's the oldest running distillery in Bardstown. It of course was shut down for a little bit during Prohibition, but when it was repealed, they started it back up. In about 1839, the original founder died, and I think they sold it off. I can't remember.
Was he the very old Barton?
He's not. No. I think his name was Tom Moore.
Oh.
And there's a brand of I think gin that is distilled at 1790 or at Bardstown that still has, or at Barton. Jeez, I'll get it right eventually.
Yeah.
At Barton that still bears his name.
Oh, cool.
They actually sold to Sazerac in 2009. That's the same company.
What about Shadrach and Abednego?
They're business partners.
Meshach and Abednego.
Meshach and
That's the
Abednego
good
are
one.
partners with Sazerac. They're business partners. Yeah. They sold to them in 2009. They're the same company that owns Buffalo Trace. So all of the Buffalo, they're owned by the same people. They're all making the same decisions. The Barton Distillery, as I said before, is located in Bardstown on almost 200 acres of land.
Yeah.
That's it's one of the bigger distilleries. I think that it's actually a little bit bigger than Buffalo Trace. And they have 29 warehouses. And to put that into perspective, Buffalo Trace has about the same amount of warehouses, and they're starting to wonder what they're going to do once they make it. They letter there, so A through Z, and they're getting towards the end of the alphabet.
Double A.
That's what they're thinking about doing.
Like stadium seating.
Yeah, exactly. Where was I? Some of the bourbons. I'm going to read this verbatim. Some of the bourbons distilled there include 1792, duh, very old Barton,
No way.
Kentucky Gentleman, and Kentucky Tavern. So you got your higher end of the spectrum, and you also have your really low end of the spectrum.
That is crazy.
We talked last episode that you've not had KT or KG before,
Correct.
right? Have you had?
I've had both.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't think either of them are worth it in terms of being
they
an
will
everyday.
never show up on this show.
No,
I don't know. They will.
I think they should.
Absolutely will. We're gonna do a bad blind.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I think we definitely should. I think we
All
should
right,
do
we will.
the bottom of the bottom blind flight
that's about
at
it.
some point.
Yeah.
KG and KT are like
Oh,
the end of the road
yeah.
for bottom shelf drinkers.
Is it Ancient Age?
Ancient Age is Buffalo Trace.
Buffalo Trace?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I actually bought a bottle of Ancient Age for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Ancient Age 90. I'd never had it before.
Oh.
And it's fine.
Yeah,
It's a 3-year-old bourbon.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not it's not gonna wow anybody. But I would actually kind of like to and I talked about before getting a mini barrel and aging like Makers sells their
White Dog.
and so does Buffalo Trace. I've talked before about putting them in barrels and aging them that way and seeing how it's going to be. But Ancient Age 90 is one of those that I would kind of like to put in one of those mini barrels for a little bit longer to see what the result would be. I mean, just to see if it would make it a little bit more bearable.
Barrelable.
Barrel.
Yeah, I got there.
Yeah, that it kind of hurts trying to say that.
Barrelable.
The bourbon itself, 1792, used to be called 1792 Ridgemont Reserve, but they rebranded to just 1792 in 2014. Mm-hmm. And the neck of the old bottle used to have like burlap.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Around it too, which was really cool. But I mean, I love the.
It used to not be a gold top. It used to be a wood stopper too.
Yeah, I love the sleekness of the new design.
I love that bottle.
Yeah, it's definitely brought it up to a higher class feel, a classier kind of aspect to it, where the burlap and the wood stopper had the feel of an older bourbon, like an aged. Brought you back to the history of bourbon rather than this one takes it to like an Art Deco.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that they kind of aimed for. I mean, very successfully too. Yeah. With their rebrand
and the website too.
Oh, their website's fantastic.
Is also very Art Deco.
Yeah, I love the website. I wish that it had a little bit more information is the only thing. I mean, I really kind of had to dig for this
dig deep
little mini report that I'm doing for this episode, but it's still a very cool looking website. But anyway, as I said before, it used to be age stated at 8 years, but that was dropped in 2013. And before then, it didn't actually have small batch on the label, and they adopted that when the age was also dropped. Yeah. The mash bill is rumored to be around 20% rye. As we know, all bourbon has to be about 51%. I think it's 51% corn.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It's more than half.
Yeah.
So that means that the rye is actually a little bit higher, which lends itself to some of the spicier notes that we were talking about before. They do, however, have other expressions. One of the ones we're going to be trying is the full proof, which clocks in at 125 proof, and is going to be a lot of fun. It's not the first full proof bourbon we've had.
Bold.
It's going to be what?
Gonna be
Gonna
bold.
be bold.
Gonna be bold.
It's
Sample
going to
that.
be bold.
That's in the soundboard now.
Yep.
Gonna be bold.
Gonna be bold.
Right next to Big Board. Keeping them alive.
Yeah.
Backboard.
And tastes like tomato soup. That's going in there.
Yeah. Oh, it has to.
Which eventually we will get back to again.
Never.
But or maybe we shouldn't. That would actually be
I
pretty
like
fun if we just never...
It's just the in joke for all in jokes in a public medium.
They have the other expressions, the foolproof. I almost said the wrong thing. Sweet wheat, where they replace
Like home in high school.
Sweet wheat.
Did they now?
No.
That's why my friends call me Whiskers.
Yo, sweet wheat.
What's up, Sweet Wheat? Call me SW for short.
You didn't have a whole lot of friends in high school, did you?
I had all the friends. They just all call me Sweet Wheat.
Was it one of those situations where you came up with the nickname and everybody else kind of latched onto it?
Yeah,
or did they come up with it first?
I'm trying to think of which is better for the goose.
For this fabricated story I'm making up right now.
It's okay, take your time, Tanner.
Oh no, I didn't know I was still going. I thought I got myself out of it with making a joke about how the joke wasn't going to work. Now I'm making a joke about how the joke isn't going to work, so...
Well, never mind. Sweet wheat.
Yeah, so what other ones do they have?
Sweet wheat, which replaces the rye and the mash bill with wheat. So, stuff like Maker's Mark or Weller or Larceny already does that. And it just provides for a sweeter experience with the bourbon. It cuts out that spiciness that something like 1792 or, excuse me, I'm apparently going through puberty again. 1792 or a Bullet typically has in their flavor profile. And they also have a single barrel, which again is one of those where it's kind of hard to find. It's a little bit more expensive than a small batch by about $10 or $15, but if you've not had have you had the single barrel?
I haven't.
It's usually pretty good. It's fairly consistent in terms of the bottle to bottle or barrel to barrel.
I've only found in liquor stores the small batch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the only thing I've found. I just so happened, just to give the story of how we came about getting the full proof, Chad had an extra bottle, and he was like, hey, I'm looking to, just sell it, and so I jumped on that real quick, and
I don't blame you.
Got the full proof, because I'm sure it's really hard to find.
It's so, so a few months ago, Liquor Barn did a pick of the full proof.
Oh, they did?
Which was pretty good. But usually they kind of reserve the full proof for allocated releases or barrel picks for stores or whatever. So yeah, it's not a very easy
find.
bourbon to find by any means. Where was I? Oh, there we go. This is actually my last point. 1792 is a reference to the year that Kentucky was founded.
Yay! We did it!
Yeah. Last year, and this bourbon actually made it onto my top. This is the second episode in a row I talked about this. It made it to number 5 in my top 5 bourbons of the year. The 1792 225th anniversary edition, which was about 10 years old instead of the regular 6 to 8. And it was bottled at 92.15 proof, 92 for 1792, and 15 for Kentucky being the 15th state in the Union.
Oh, cool.
Or Commonwealth, if don't add us. Instead of the regular, instead of the regular 93.7 of the 1792 small batch. Some quick little facts about 1792. It won 2 gold medals in 2017 at the Los Angeles International Wine and Spirits Competition, as well as the Denver International Spirits Competition. It has gotten double gold medals from the 50 Best Bourbon Whiskeys of 2016 and 2015. And it also won a double gold medal at the New York World Wine and Spirits Competition in 2015. So not only is it, us sitting around going,
saying
this
it's
is
good.
Yeah,
Other
I mean,
people are saying it's good.
it's proven that,
We've been validated.
it's up
Yeah.
there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my very short little report on 1792.
That was
But
great.
I mean, there was stuff about it that I didn't know.
Things.
Yeah.
So what?
Should we grade them?
Oh,
Give me a grade.
so let's do it on nose. No, just
Don't rate my nose. Nose is like a 2.
Yeah, your
I
nose-
mean,
your nose is fine.
it's too big for his face.
Yeah, well, he said it. He said it.
You
not
just
us.
deadpanned after it. I didn't know how to react to that. It's like, it's too big for its face. Stares at me, and I was like,
What do I say here?
what? I don't. That's a cool lamp.
Good book report.
Yeah.
I love lamp.
Yeah.
I love lamp.
I'll give you an A.
No thanks.
I'll give you a B.
That's pretty good. Pretty good for a 30-minute research.
Yeah.
period. But
You
like
didn't cite APA, so that's why you're getting a little.
Yeah,
Wikipedia.
Your works cited was not.
yeah, MLA format was real off.
Wikipedia and the Barton website. So
Cool.
anyway, but I want to do more stuff like that for
Yeah, it's
like if we talk about other distilleries. And,
Yeah, giving the history is always a good
Yeah.
point.
Informative.
Yeah.
definitely. And
So
we're
that we
doing
can
it.
get away-
We're doing it with a comedic spin.
I was gonna say, so we can get away with all our goofs. People's gonna be like, "Well, I did learn something." I guess these idiots are worth listening to for 15 minutes if I can. Learn
Are we a
something.
comedy
Yeah.
podcast as well?
No.
Okay, good.
Don't
I didn't
flatter
think so.
ourselves.
I didn't think so, but I just wanted to ask. I mean, if there were a category for like dudes hanging out as a podcast,
Dudes being guys.
What would we be categorized?
I don't know. Like,
Lifestyle.
Yeah.
probably.
Probably.
Lifestyle.
Oh, I should
Yeah.
change that because right now it's under like food.
Oh well.
Food
Yeah.
and drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's more
Welcome
lifestyle.
everybody. The first meeting we've ever had about the direction of
Of where
our
we're
iTunes
going.
classification.
This has been like, I mean, the whole process of this podcast though has been us like on air figuring out what we're about to do.
We were very in media res with this.
Oh,
where it's
absolutely.
Just like,
But,
yeah,
like,
sure.
I mean, I enjoy listening to that more than I do, very straightforward, like, here are the facts, and we're
Yeah.
going to interview somebody, and,
Yeah, that's so fun.
Because it's boring.
Yeah.
That's what I went to school for. I'm not, listening to podcasts, which are supposed to be entertainment-based, to, be bored.
Right.
1792
So anyway,
Fulford.
So this was that was a very loose segue into the review portion of this episode. We are going to be, as you kind of, what? Okay, great. We're going to review 1792 Foolproof, and I'm going to be wondering the rest of the time what Curtis is saying.
To be honest, I'm not sure what he's addressing either.
Okay.
He looked at me. He's like, "I'm not going to say anything." I was like, "I don't know what you're not saying."
Oh, is he trying? He was probably
I
trying
was
to get
going
you
for
not
the-
to say anything
Yeah, I
either,
was
so
going for
that
the
I could
pregnant
just.
pause.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just like I was hoping that.
I was just gonna be quiet.
Yeah,
I
well,
was just not on board.
yeah, and then he broke it, and so it didn't
Sorry.
work.
Sorry, guys.
But I guess we can continue on.
Okay,
with
let's
I guess
do
we can
it.
do the bourbon
Yeah.
part now.
that. Especially since you've been waiting for 3 weeks on.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Kurt was the one that bought this bourbon, but it's been sitting in my house for like 3 weeks, and it's just kind of been staring at me.
Drake me.
I'm going, yeah, it's got a little hang tag.
Yeah.
I've been wondering, when are we going to do this episode? And it finally, worked out to where we were going to be able to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
So, we're all going to be drinking out of Glencairns.
Yep.
Thanks, Lynn and Karen. It's a running
Fine
joke-
people.
it's a running
Recurring joke.
All right,
joke-
are we
running
ready?
goof.
Let's do it. Okay, yeah.
nice.
I'll
That's a
take
good
it.
one.
I'll take it. First nose.
I'm just gonna wait until everyone gets a good.
Oh, you know what I forgot to do?
What's that?
I have this whole. You know what sucks is that I have this whole list of like the way that the order of the show goes. And last week we introduced a segment called First Pour, which is what we're starting out
Doing
drinking.
now?
Which was
Yeah.
no.
That was
Like
fun.
it was our it was the Jim Beam. So our first pour of the night was the Jim Beam, and
That's
I've been what we're gonna dub like our uncorkings is first shots. So
Okay.
our first shot at 1792 Foolproof is
Right.
our review for the episode.
Got it.
So
Cool.
anyway,
Well, names for things.
yeah. Right off the bat, this is a lot darker than the
Much darker.
It's a dark boy.
Yeah.
It's very dark.
It's a dark,
dark
amber.
boy?
Yeah.
Is that what
I got in this habit from the McElroy podcast of calling everything a boy, and I can't stop.
I've done the
Oh,
same.
look at the legs on that, man.
Oh, dude, they just keep they kind of just keep going. I mean, there's
Oh yeah.
the legs that don't quit.
No, it really is though. Like
Too legit. Too legit to quit.
Have you seen the new that horrible new Burger King commercial where they
I've
use
not.
that song? It's awful.
I need to look it up.
Terrible. It's too legit for $6.
Great. Love it.
Yeah, it's their new like $1 menu with 6 items or whatever.
Beautiful.
It's garbage.
Good for you, MC Hammer. You make that money.
Yeah. Right off the bat, the nose is a lot more prominent.
oh yeah,
Oh, yeah, it's a
way bolder than
big old
the
nose.
other one.
Yeah. I mean the spice and the
Yeah.
the spice and the like the ethanol are way more up front than with just the regular small batch.
Yeah. But I do get those hints, those notes of caramel
And some
and
fruit.
and fruit. Yeah, and what you get from the 1792
like the
small
the
batch.
small batch.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, of course you're gonna get that.
Yeah, the thing that's really kind of overpowering for me right now, though, is the ethanol, which is to be expected from
125.
125 proof. But, you know, I was kind of hoping for something to cut through a little bit more in terms of, like, you know, what I should expect for the flavor profile. But,
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, I'm not, like, terribly upset by the nose or anything. It's
No.
just kind of,
I think it's good.
it's expected.
Yeah. With such a higher proof bourbon, like you have to expect the higher ethanol.
Definitely.
And bolder smell.
Definitely. Tanner, thoughts?
It's very strong. It's to the point where it's like, I'm kind of scared
Really?
a little bit. Yeah.
That's interesting because,
And I
like,
guess my nose. Sorry. Go ahead.
like with the WL Weller, or the William LaRue Weller, like we
The big Billy LaRue.
kind of we kind of just dove right into it.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, the nose I think was a little bit more invited on that for being a barrel proof
This is pungent.
bourbon.
Is the way.
Yeah.
Is the word I would use.
Yeah, I think that's.
It's not bad. It's just pungent.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't know. I guess my nose is just. I don't get as much as the ethanol as you guys.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we discussed this.
And
we have.
I solely think that it's just my nose.
Yeah.
That my nose isn't as like sensitive as your guys' is like
Curtis
what's bold.
grew up working in an ethanol factory. Therefore, he's nose blind to it.
Yeah, I just like I'm getting
He's
more.
gone
Than,
nose blind.
I'm getting more of the notes than the ethanol.
Yeah, I
I get a little bit of both.
upon taking like
Said
more time with the nose, I do smell more of the like the earthiness. I kind of wish that there was a little bit more oak to it. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, especially because this should technically be. I mean, aside from like the basic filtration to get like the chunks and everything out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't going to be proofed down, so a lot of the oakiness from the barrel should be a little bit more prominent. So I again do get a little bit of it, but it should be more
I agree.
forward. That being said, I'm not upset with the nose.
Mm-mm.
It's just, I wish that
Oh no, dude! It's aggressive.
it is a little bit more aggressive than the.
It's to the point where I feel like it's singeing my nose hairs a little bit. Like
No, I feel
what I
the
mean?
same way actually. So I let's just
I don't, but
like if I get too deep in there,
We've
it makes me
established
cough.
this.
It's crazy.
yeah.
My eyes are watering.
So let's
let's go for it.
first shot.
Cheers.
Cheers, y'all.
Oh, that was far more pleasant than I expected.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so smooth, and I don't get. It has the heat,
Yeah.
but it's not overpowering.
The finish is so silky, and I mean, oh man,
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
that's
Yeah,
really
me
good.
too.
The finish is almost like dark chocolate.
A little, yeah.
I think
Oh, yeah.
it, like
It's
it
got
kind of
that
hangs.
earthy sweetness.
It kind of hangs around with you, like dark chocolate does. But
Yeah.
It's like that dark chocolate hazelnut kind of, you know.
It's Nutella in a drink.
Exactly.
I don't get a whole lot of heat. I think the heat lingers a little bit, but overall it's a pretty balanced palate. And I wouldn't have expected that from the nose.
Yeah. No, same. I'm much more pleased with the taste of it than I was
absolutely. Tanner, would you want this as a candle?
I wouldn't want it as a candle if it smelled like ethanol, because I'd be worried that my house is about to burn. But the taste is good. I would smell the taste, if that were possible.
Yeah, if that's a thing.
It sounds like a very 90s phrase. I don't know why. It sounds like
taste.
It sounds like something that would have been like in a commercial.
5 gum, smell the taste.
Would have been on a commercial on Nickelodeon or something.
Yeah. It's like right after you eat your shorts.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Shorts, smell the taste. Or a section on Double Dare where they slide down the nose. Topical.
This episode of Legends of the Hidden Temple brought to you by.
This is silky, man.
Yeah, it's good.
It's good.
This is one of the creamier, silkier bourbons.
Yeah.
That I've had in a long time. It's just...
Yeah. No, it's really good.
Yeah.
It's not overpowering. And with the 125 proof, you're like, oh, this is going to be so much heat, but you don't. It's a constant heat, I think, all the way through.
I think it is too.
But just a nice, pleasant.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely doesn't overpower. Okay. Hello, dog. She's freaking out.
It's me, Margaret. Like a really niche reference.
Never mind.
It was an 80s literature reference.
Anyway, I think all the way through the palate is really fantastic. And then price, we have to discuss before we get into our rating.
Yes.
What'd you pay for it?
I paid $50? 60.
I think it was 50 or 55.
I don't remember.
It doesn't matter.
I
think it was 55 after
60.
tax.
Yeah.
So I think probably the store price would have been about 50. Mm-hmm. 49.50. So anyway, I think overall that's a pretty decent price for this. I mean, it's not the best price in the world, but I think that it's I always try to take into like I always try to take the uniqueness of a bourbon or the overall experience into my final ratings, and especially with the price. So I just got a very interesting taste that I can't quite put my finger on. What is that? It might be that hazelnut.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of
I think it is the hazelnut.
Chocolate.
Like it just kind of crept up on me all of a sudden, like kind of out of nowhere.
Oh, hazelnut, like spice, chocolate, all those flavors is what I'm getting.
Definitely.
What's not as much of the caramel and the like graham cracker as you would get with the 1792 small batch.
But I do get a little bit of the graham cracker flavor.
Yeah,
which is the.
But that's not the forefront, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But overall, I'm pretty happy with this. So, for anybody who is new to the show or needs a refresher, we have a review system of nose, palate, finish, and price. Each category is out of 5. Excuse me. If you're a repeat listener, you also know that I have to cough after about every third sentence. At the end of our rating, we tally everything up to a total out of 20. And that's how it goes. I meant to tell you guys, I started a spreadsheet of all of our all of our reviews because I got really tired.
Can we collaborate on that? Can you share that link with me?
Oh, can we put it in a Google
yeah, can you
Google
put it
Doc?
in a Google Doc, please?
I just got really tired of going. I think that I gave
Google
it
Sheet specifically.
I think I gave it a 13 out of 20. Let me think about it, or have to go back to the episode. I wanted something where I could just read it and be like, yeah, that's and it's nice to see like kind of my average or our averages for everything. So anyway, who wants to go first? I
usually go first, right? So
you do.
I mean, I don't.
But you don't have to.
Go for it.
I'll go. So. Nose, is going to be the weakest link amongst them, I think, for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's with all of us, I would say.
Again, singeing the nose hair, never a desirable smell. So I'm going to give that a 2.
That's fair.
Just the normal, what do we say mouth or taste?
Palate.
Palate. Well, neither of those words. I was trying to keep it
Excellent mouthfeel.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We use all those words.
We do.
The palate, I think, is really good. See, the finish is what keeps coming back to me. So I think the palate is a 4. I think the finish is a 5. That's about as good a finish you're going to get on that proofage of bourbon.
I think so too.
And then, as far as the price goes, I don't know. I think it's the sweet spot for that bourbon. Like, I think for that high proofage, that quality of a drink, I think 55 is okay. Like, I'm not taken back by it. I'm not just going to rate, it's not the cheapest thing in the world, where the price is not good.
Right.
So I'll give the price a 4. So that puts me at a 15. 2, 4, 4, and 5.
Oh yeah, that is a 15.
Yeah.
Because I was actually kind of expecting you to go for a 3 on the price.
No, I think it's fine.
So yeah, I think, and again, 15 out of 20 is kind of where we
Sure, where we end
straddle the line of,
that's a good bourbon from us.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
just means one of the things.
Exactly,
missing,
and
basically.
I think 14 to 17 is about where we go. Yeah, it's something that you should experience, and anything 18 to 20 is like,
that is.
If
great.
you're not drinking this, then you.
Have we even gotten that high before?
You
guys did.
We got.
So yeah, we with the Henry McKenna that we had,
which was specific to that
that bottle.
That bottle.
Yeah.
Well, not the bottle itself, but
the pig.
The barrel.
The barrel.
Yeah. Kurt had an 18. I think I had an 18 and a half.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I mean, again, both.
I need to try it.
I'll get you some. It's upstairs. I'll bring some down for you so you can. I wanted to kind of hide it away a little bit, so I wasn't.
I mean, let's save it. Let's save it and do it for like the beginning of some other.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, that
sure.
way we have it.
Yeah. But I wanted to kind of tuck it away a little bit so that I wasn't tempted to.
Keep going.
You're making
back
a
to
face.
I just got another on the nose. I got some like a smoky, like barbecue.
That's been kind of
smell.
lingering for me as well.
Interesting.
And
but I
used
didn't get
pepper.
it. Well,
So
I
get
guess
that.
that's
Yeah.
similar to what I
That's
was
probably
going
what it is.
for. But it just now happened. I just now smelled that.
That's really interesting, and I love, and a lot of the time I feel like, you're not. I feel like you're going to get different experiences from uncorking a bottle and pouring it in and drinking it than you are uncorking it, pouring it, let it sit for 10 or 15 minutes, and then drinking it.
Right.
Both ways I think are valid, but this is just how we do it.
Yeah. We're too impatient.
Well, that and we're all about being in the moment here on This Is My Bourbon Podcast.
Yes.
And we're suddenly part of NPR.
NPR. Yeah. One of my favorite jokes in Parks and Rec is when they do their like local NPR station.
I've not seen that.
And hold on, I have it written down some. Anyway, but it's like I'm filling in for Ned, who is filling in for David, who is filling in for Grant, who's been off in Africa studying the mating patterns of frogs. We haven't seen him in 6 months.
That's good.
Because, I mean, that's just very much NPR.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, Kurt, go ahead and give
All
me a
right.
review.
And just to review, you had
15.
15.
15 out of 20.
All right. So the nose, I mean, I'll have to agree. Even though I didn't get the singeing of what Tanner got, like I didn't get that much ethanol, I think it's gonna have to be a 2.5. It's just, and I guess the nose has gotten better as I've smelled it.
I agree with that,
more.
actually.
As I've gotten used to the ethanol, I think is what's happening. Is as we get used to ethanol, you're getting more of those notes, which is just logical.
Yeah.
So I'm still going to say a 2.5
I think that's
on that. And then palate, I really enjoyed the palate. The palate had that hazelnut, that chocolate, the everything that you wanted, and then had the notes from the small batch as well, where it's coming from. And so I'll give that a 4. And then the finish is where I really enjoyed it, and I'll give that a 4.5. Because it really is...
Not quite getting to 5.
Yeah, not quite getting the 5.
4.5. Okay, so you're... Okay.
Yeah, just because, I mean, this finish with 125 proof bourbon, it was so silky smooth.
Yeah.
Just, like, it was so good. Had that constant heat, and then was always lasting. And then price, I'll say a 4. It's a quality bourbon, and at that price point.
You're at a 15, too.
Oh, am I?
Is it 15
Yeah.
or
Okay.
16?
2.5 and 4.5 is 7. 4 is 11. 4 is 15.
Okay. Anybody who listens knows that we are no good at math. We are no good. And last episode, and I meant to do this, Chad was like, why don't you guys write these down?
Nah.
I completely forgot.
I can do it in my head.
So...
Yeah. Well, I actually, it's funny you
It's
say
on
that
his
because
phone.
I just started.
Oh,
watched,
did you?
I
Did you
watched
really?
him do it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because I was like, I'm not going to forget this anymore. And so I wrote it down.
And redoing that math, yes, you are at a 15.
Yeah.
So 215 out of 20.
Mm.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And I want, like, so 15's our point of like, oh, it's good and you should try it? Or what did we
15,
declare
I
that
think
as?
15 is our, like... I like it's our solid recommendation,
Yeah.
but it's not like
It's not in the 18 range.
It's
where
not a
you're like-
must try.
Yes.
yeah. I think that's a good way of putting it because like when our first numbered review was William LaRue Weller,
Billy.
old Billy Wells,
Billy Wells.
and we all gave that, and that was back when we were doing it on 15-point scale instead of a 20-point scale, but we all gave it like around a 13 out of 15. And I mean, that's really high. And I think that's, pretty close to, as ringing of an endorsement as you're going to give
Yeah.
for a bourbon. And the same thing for our Henry McKenna that we reviewed.
Yeah.
15 out of 20, is, get it. But if there's something else that you can get, like that is a little bit rarer than that, I think is where that distinction kind of comes in.
Okay.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I think so. I think our 15 to like 17 range is like, you should definitely buy this and try
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
And have it.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's not like Black Friday, like kill someone, like go for it back in those days, I think that's what
I don't know.
I think that's what I would put it at. Is like,
Sure.
you should definitely get it and try it if it's there.
I mean, yeah, and I wouldn't suggest. I don't know if I would suggest putting this bourbon specifically on like your allocated watch list.
Yeah.
No.
I
I would definitely recommend the Antique Collection from Buffalo Trace above this. Mm-hmm. That being said, definitely still try this. But, don't let this keep you from trying something or getting something that you might be more,
Yeah.
You might have a harder time finding.
Yeah. I agree.
That all being said, this is by no means a bad bourbon, and I definitely
it's
think
great.
that you should be. I definitely think that you should be getting this if you have the opportunity to do so. Yeah. Nose for me, I think is going to be a 2. The ethanol was just so prominent, and I would rather have something that's a little bit more readily enjoyable. I guess I don't want to have to wait too terribly long for me to, enjoy it. Like I want it to, be right there for me. But,
Yeah.
That being said, maybe that's just a symptom of us being from our generation. Is like we don't want to wait too long for it to be good. But that being said, I kind of expect something at $55 to be a little bit more enjoyable at the very get-go. I think the nose is your first indication of what something is going to be like.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
And if you go into it going, I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah. It's going to degrade the experience a little
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, and I think that's where my rating of 2 for the nose comes from. That being said, palate is definitely like a 4.5 for me. I mean, it's so complex. I haven't experienced, and I hate using the phrase mouthfeel because it just sounds so dumb.
Yeah.
But I haven't had a bourbon that has this mouthfeel where it's just so silky and smooth and like just kind of like isn't inhibiting in any way
Yeah.
in a while. I mean, you know, it's just it's not making you fight to enjoy it. So that's where the 4.5 I think comes from the palate. Finish, I think I'm going to give it a 4. I do wish that it would go on just a hair longer, but that being said, like everything that I loved on the palate carries over into the finish, but it could provide a little bit more for me, I think, in the overall experience. And then the price. I think I'm going to give the price a 3.5.
Okay.
Because like again, like there are other things I think in this price range that you could buy and experience that are of equal or better quality or value. That being said, it's not bad in terms of price, but if I had this against maybe. See, that's not fair because that's not. I was going to say Jefferson's Reserve, which is in the same $45-$50 price range. I was going to say that, but that's not a foolproof bourbon.
Yeah. And you can't compare it to the William LaRue Weller because that's 110.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the William LaRue was almost the same proof, though.
Yeah.
Because that was at like 124 or something like that.
See, that's where it gets interesting because you're like $110 compared to $55.
Yeah.
And you're still getting the same proof. It might not have the better nose and taste.
Yeah.
But that being said, I enjoy the William LaRue Weller a lot more than I do this.
Yeah.
I mean,
Interesting.
But I
I
think the
agree.
price, I mean, for price points, like how do you know?
You could buy 2 bottles of this for the bottle.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it would last. It would last you longer.
Yes.
Right.
But I think that the overall value and quality
Okay. If
of the WLW,
Fair enough.
then
yeah, I think that the WLW is definitely superior to this.
yes.
So
I agree on that.
yeah. That being said, I think a 3.5 is where I'm going to have to land on the price. 14 out of 20, and you know, again, that's not bad.
No,
no, that's good.
Don't take that as like me going, you know, try something else instead of this.
Yeah.
But you know,
For you, it barely missed the cut, and for us, it was
exactly
right there. So
exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm also trying to. I'm challenging myself with this to be a little bit more critical of what I'm drinking, so that I can, you know, provide. I want to provide a better experience.
when
for
something's
the
an
rating.
18, then you know
it's an
legit,
18.
as opposed
Yeah.
to us just being
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely. And I think if it
Time.
floats between the 14 and the 17, you know, that's where I really kind of have to question, would I recommend this to somebody over something that scored an 18 to 20?
sure.
Yeah.
So, you know, that again, our whole process with this is really kind of just unraveling as we go
Yeah.
with it. But and we're learning more about how we function as bourbon drinkers.
Yes.
And bourbon consumers, I think, just as much.
Right.
You know, we're not trying to tell anybody, you know, drink this over that because we're, you know, aligned to one distillery or anything. But
and we're figuring out as we go.
Exactly.
And everyone's different too anyway. So
yeah.
like,
And I mean, and you're going to experience things differently than we do.
Right.
You know, and if you limit yourself to our 20-point scale, that might not be right for you.
yeah.
You know, I mean, everybody views what they experience different than
Yeah. And I
everybody
think
else.
something to take into account with our our ratings and how we do it and how we do the podcast is more of take our opinions and our ratings into account.
Definitely.
Because they're definitely valid and like you're gonna get what we talk about, but you need to be your own self and like decide for your own.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I've really tried to, one of my, and it sounds kind of ridiculous, but like one of my New Year's resolutions with bourbon was to, try more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And people will distill that down to, distill. We'll distill that down to the phrase drink curious. Which is, a term that was coined by Fred Minnick. It's a whole nother conversation. But anyway, try stuff that you might not have wanted to try before. Like I've been really interested recently in trying bottom shelf stuff to see whether or not I'm going to like it. Like I bought the other day this bottle that was called Old Kentucky Barrel Select. It's a 4-year-old bourbon. It's only 80 proof.
Yeah.
And I actually really enjoyed it. Like I was kind of surprised that I had something at 80 proof that I enjoyed as much as I do. Like even the Jim Beam Choice.
Yeah.
If you had just told me that I was going to be drinking an 80 proof bourbon, I would have been like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's interesting when you get your ego out of the way. You're like,
yeah.
You're surprised on what you find.
Yeah, and I mean you do have to kind of fight with your palate or what you think your palate is in order to really figure out what you like and what you don't like. So that being said, listen to us, but don't listen to us.
Yes. Take us into account. Form your own opinion.
Yeah, and I mean there are so many other opinions out there too that you can listen to. I mean, don't listen to just us or just the podcast or whatever, because the podcast does a review system too of buy bar pass.
Yeah.
So if they like it enough, they say buy a bottle.
Yeah.
If it's okay, bar it to make sure you like it. Pass if it's just terrible.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff that we've had has crossed over with what they've had as well. Mm-hmm. Same thing goes with Chad and Sarah on his bourbon night. We've tried similar things or same things. It doesn't matter. But don't just take our opinion or just one opinion,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they
pull
get the
them
point.
all together and
Sure. Make
and
your own bourbon Metacritic, and then there you go.
Yeah.
What an invention we would have there. We'd be millionaires.
Yeah. For a very niche market.
Niche market is success.
Exactly.
Anyway, so that was our review portion of the show. I know that it was a little bit long-winded, but anyway.
So in other words, we got 2 15s, 15 from Tanner, 15 from me, and then 14 from Perry. Yeah.
So that's the meat of the show. And we're gonna slide into the segment we like to call Tips and Bits.
Tips and bits.
Tips and bits. Guys, what tips and bits do y'all have this week?
Oh God, everyone's looking at me. I hadn't thought of one yet. Perry, you go.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
sure.
go.
Let me see. Oh, so one of the shows that I've been watching on Netflix like crazy recently, and I've got about like 5 or 10 minutes left of this last episode, is Unplanned America.
Okay.
It is a show of 3 Australian guys who, and originally the plan for them was to come to America basically with no plan and basically no budget and kind of travel around and learn about some of the people that don't necessarily get some of the mainstream attention, and bring their stories to the forefront. And I mean, they go to stuff that they'll go to places like, the most deadly neighborhood in Chicago. They'll go to Detroit. They went to the big Juggalo gathering that happens every year.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I mean, and they talk to people who are Juggalos and say, what do people get wrong about you? And they say they think that we're criminals when really it's just a big family.
Yeah.
But I mean, they even do crazy stuff like go and talk to people who work in the sex industry.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Like they were on the set for on the set for the filming of the Austin Powers porn parody.
No way.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
it was crazy though,
Good
because they're just talking to these actors and actresses who are just
That nobody would think of like going and
as
asking.
being regular people.
Humanizing them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean that is essentially the core of this show, is that they're trying to humanize people who would be dehumanized otherwise.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could have whole conversations for
Yeah.
for forever
That's cool.
about how much I love this show. And I mean,
Now, what's it called again?
Unplanned America.
Okay.
It's 3 seasons. It's 6 episodes per season.
Okay.
I knocked it out in like 2 days.
Nice.
Nice.
I mean, basically. And then I'm gonna keep plugging this because it's coming out in a couple of months. My sister-in-law Emma, who's Lucy's sister, is in the second installment of the Strangers movie series.
Oh yeah.
She plays Dollface. She was a recast from the first movie. Just watch the first one, and then when the movie comes out on March 9th, go check it out. I'm super excited for it.
that's
I
so
mean,
awesome.
I honestly am probably going to plug it every single week until it comes
I know,
out.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
It's really cool.
it would be ridiculous for me not to. But anyway, those are my tips and bits for the week. Kurt,
All
Tanner.
right. My tits and bits.
Tits and
Did you
bits?
say tits? and bits?
He did say
I
tits and
didn't
bits.
mean to.
Okay. Well,
I wanted to say, tips and bits.
Yeah,
Sure you did.
No, I'm serious. It just came out that way. Sorry.
go ahead.
Would be the David Letterman
I've
special.
heard about
Been
this.
meaning to watch that.
Yes, on Netflix. And the first episode is with
President
Barack.
Obama.
Yeah, President. Yes, my President Obama.
Whoa. We're not getting into
No,
that.
I'm just saying. It's just no. I'm just saying that in that episode, that's what David Letterman says.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a reference, not being you.
Shots
No,
you
it's not me
political.
being.
Okay.
Yeah,
Shots
it's not being.
fired.
It's just not. It's not me being political. But David Letterman says that. But it's great, and it really gives an insight of what the presidency is about, and
Cool.
everything that goes within that. So it's not strictly political. So don't get that kind of put in your mind, like, oh, I don't like Obama, or I don't, just it really shows you what goes into the presidency, the campaign run, all of those type of things, and it's really cool. It talks about him taking his children to college, and it's just a really cool insight into his life and the presidency.
Nice.
So mine is something relatively new on my spectrum of music. So it is an indie singer named Billie Eilish, I believe is how you pronounce her last name. It's Eilish, but the Google Home tells me that it's Billie Eilish, not Eilish. So I'm gonna go with Eilish, and she's 16.
Ah,
She looks like she could be Cara Delevingne's sister. It's kind of
Really?
bonkers how much she looks like her. Yeah. But she's kind of got, if I had to compare it to someone, it's sort of like a Lorde. Like, I'm so artsy and out there that I'm just cool by default.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, look at how cool I am. I don't care what you think of me. But she's like indie R&B, and I wouldn't have guessed that this little white girl who's 16 put out maybe the best R&B album last year. It's so short. It's so good. There's a song with Vic Mensa on it, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And
Which his latest album was really good too.
Big
The
Fish. Or wait, what was it?
The autobiography.
Sorry, I did Vince Staples.
Yes.
Mix my V rappers.
Yes.
Very different.
Yeah, anyway, yeah, but that album was also great. They were
Yes.
both really good. But yeah, that album, which I think is called, hold on one second, I had it pulled up. Don't Smile at Me is the name of the album.
Interesting.
It's very indie R&B goodness. It's really good. I like it a lot.
Awesome. That kind of reminds me of Maggie Rogers.
Yeah,
heard
a little bit, yeah.
Oh, I love Maggie Rogers.
Yeah, Maggie Rogers is great.
And I hate to fall into the category of people who were like, yeah, Pharrell really was the one who turned me on to her music, because he went.
Wait, what'd Pharrell do with her?
So,
I just remember Alaska being like huge.
well, the
I've
reason
heard
that
that before.
Alaska was huge was because he went to, and I'm gonna get it wrong. I think it was Berkeley.
Okay.
And he did kind of like a master class. And it was her and like a whole bunch of other members of her class, and they're all sitting in and everything. And what would happen is like they would come up and play a song for him, and she played Alaska for him.
Yeah.
And he was basically left speechless.
That's awesome.
And there's a whole video of it too.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's Pharrell sitting to her left, and she's kind of sitting there like getting into it, and like digging her own music, and Pharrell's just like really studying it and everything, and the song stops, and he just looks over at her and goes, "Wow."
That's cool.
That's awesome.
And he was saying stuff like, there's nobody in music who's doing this right now and everything. And I was like, I should probably hook on to this girl and keep track of what she's doing. Guys, where can they find you on social media?
I can go if you.
Yeah, go.
We
keep
keep looking at Tanner like it's
your
your
turn.
turn.
It's your
starter
turn. This episode.
This.
It's usually me second on this.
Yeah.
one.
So on Instagram, I'm Kurt Con, and then Twitter, Kurt_Con15.
That's Kurt CU, by the way, not
Yes.
KU.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have a name that could be spelled differently. I
No,
wanted to clarify. All my personal stuff.
He was like justifying when I didn't say anything.
No, I know. Harry, give me a look.
Oh,
What's
okay.
happening?
All my personal stuff is at Tanner Beach Haney, and then all the gaming stuff is at Dorm Streams, like a dorm you live in college.
Are you guys? You said last time you were on that you were kind of on hiatus. Are you guys?
Yeah,
getting
podcast isn't really happening all that much because my roommate and I are never in the same room. But as far as like the streams go, they've been going fine.
Okay, cool, good deal.
Thanks.
If you would like to reach me, I'm Peter1492 on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. If you want to get in contact with the show, we are at My Bourbon Shop on Instagram and Twitter. If you would like to if you'd like to send us a question, use the hashtag This Is My Bourbon Podcast on Instagram or Twitter. We're on Facebook at This Is My Bourbon Shop. You can, as I said before, email us thisismybourbonshop@gmail.com. If you would like to become a patron of the show for as little as $1 a month, head to patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. We would love to have you support the show a little bit, check in a couple bucks a month. And if you get all the way up to $50 a month, there's a special surprise waiting for you at the end of the tunnel. And only those people who are at that level will.
It's us. We're at the end of the tunnel.
Hello.
It's us, and we're drinking scotch. We're not drinking bourbon.
We're kind of underwhelming, aren't we? Hi.
Hey.
Wait until you meet us in person. Thank you all so much for listening. We really appreciate it. Give us a rate and review on iTunes. That really helps us out to get our name across a little bit more. Keep downloading and sharing the show with your friends. I think we got some big stuff coming up here in the future. There's potential for some fun shows, and
We're starting a spin-off podcast called This Is My Bourbon's Bourbon Podcast, where we just get the bottles around and they clink for 5 minutes. It's terrible. It's not very good, but it's
don't
very
wanna listen.
It's very David Byrne talking.
it's very
about this, so.
art schooly.
Yeah.
No. It sounds kind of scary, honestly.
It does.
Yeah. It's way better than that if you do $50 or more.
You get the 10-minute episode.
Yeah.
The unedited cut. Cling, clong, clong.
Anyway, thank you all so much for listening. And until next week, I'm Perry.
I'm Curtis.
I'm Tanner.
And this is My Bourbon Podcast.